Good evening, everyone. You're listening to Red Pill 78. We've got a quick chart that I need to show you right here. This is the S&P 500 going way back to 1996. As you can see, since 2009, the stock market has really been on a roll, but all rolls come to an end. And any way you look at it, right now it's top heavy. So if you're relying on your IRA or your 401k to see you through retirement, you may have a problem. The thing is, have you gotten an alternative lined up? If someone is letting loose with an automatic, you might not stick around, would you? Well, you got to get out of the way quick if that ever happens, and Noble Gold is putting this out there as a heads up for you guys right now. You might want to speak to them about finding a place of safety for your money too. You can talk to them today, just 5 minutes, and see if you can bulletproof your hard-earned savings before it's too late. All you need to do is call 877-646-5347 and get protected with a gold or silver IRA today. Again, call 877-646-5347 and get protected, or get the free gold and silver guide below that will answer all of your questions. The link is in the description of the video. The guide and the information are free, so don't wait. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. I am just getting my screen situated so that we have everything on deck. We are live. I hope that everyone is having a wonderful evening. I see we've got lots of people already in the audience. I saw some people from New York, from Tennessee, from Florida, Woodstock, Ontario, Canada. I do see that my mom's in the audience and lots of other friendly people. We've got a double-decker for you tonight, as always. Oh, got more people calling in here. Columbus, Ohio, Oregon, Wisconsin, Colorado, Virginia, Missouri, Dallas, Texas. Oh, let's see. Steve Perk, good to see you, buddy. Methods, Illinois, Australia, South Carolina, Charlotte, North Carolina, Texas, Minnesota, Oregon, Wisconsin, Oklahoma, Alabama, South Carolina, Rockford, Illinois, Florida, Arizona, Moqueta, Washington, Southern Illinois, Michigan, Columbus, Ohio, Nashville, Tennessee, Lancaster, California, Southern California. Oh, so many people. Hello, Mom. Glad to see you here. Let's go ahead and show the audience our guest for the evening. Tonight we're going to be talking with Blake. Blake has had a unique experience in that he has become the personal fixture of several mainstream media journalists looking to discredit the movement. And he's taken that opportunity and the unnecessary or undesired recognition that he has received to turn it into something positive. So we're going to talk tonight about something called the Pkwy Project. Now, this is also going to be later on in the broadcast. We're going to have Spaceshot76 joining us. But right now, Blake, thank you so much for joining us, sir. I do appreciate you taking the time to speak with us.
Well, thanks for having me. I really appreciate all the efforts that you're doing to get me on. Kind of a crazy life here, so I'm way out of bounds what my normal life is based on this last few months and beyond that, actually, going forward with some of the things that we're trying to accomplish here. So,
well, it's been said that growth can be painful, and sometimes you're pushed to the brink, and it's certainly not something you're looking for. But like I said, you've turned this into something positive. So I would imagine that the majority of the audience, if not all the audience, would not be familiar with you. So let's talk about what happened. I know that you were in a relationship, and this whole Q movement happened. Let's take it from there. Tell me about your story.
Yeah, it goes back to actually the spring of 2017 when I met a gal online on Match.com. We meshed very well. Everything kind of fit. We just fit out great, but we had very differing views about politics. And we kind of talked through that and thought, you know what, we can make this work. It evolved to a point where we actually had relationships with people that connected. And I mean, all things considered, this was a really good gig, right? I mean, I really enjoyed it. She really enjoyed it. We kind of fell over the cliff on each other. I started to involve myself, like a lot of people did in November of 2017 with some of the Q posts. She did too, to a degree. And what we saw I mean, our morning routine was wake up, do our news on Twitter, kind of catch up, come home after work, do our news, do the politics thing, go back and forth. And what we saw was very differing posts, information. I mean, clearly there was a divide with the information on the left side. And let me just state for the record, I'm a registered Republican, but really I'm kind of middle on the road if you look at Minnesota.
Right.
And I mean, she's way out, which is fine. I'm not saying that's good or bad, but Minnesota, as you know, swings way left. And she's been involved with several different campaigns over the years. She was a Hillary supporter. I didn't know about Trump. I wasn't sure, but I did my research. In fact, I was a Carly Farina guy and a delegate in the 2016, delegate alternate, forgive me, and a Cruz guy. And I saw, I mean, of all the times to be involved in politics, that was the year, right? So
right.
I immersed myself and went through the process as an American to see what a delegate process was really about. What is politics? And I saw in our party, in the Republican side, shepherd Rubio through the system. And okay, that's neither here nor there. But I also saw the Hillary side. I also saw the left side. And of course, I'm active on Twitter and posting at that point, but QAnon came in. It definitely changed my perspective and opened my eyes in 2017 after that fact. Long story short, I saw a clear division that was occurring outside of me in mainstream media, in social media, and I'm a marketing guy, right? So I get the content posts, I get the analytics, I get the behind-the-scenes stuff and the promoting side. But there was something going on that was very, very weird, and it was dividing our relationship. And that's kind of where she and I joined together to kind of look at this and go, what if, when all this is done, can we bridge the gap? I mean, at some point, we have to heal the wound.
Now, this division, you're saying this started before Q came into the picture? Just during the election?
Well, the 2016 election, I didn't know her. The relationship started in 2017. So forgive me, but I'm kind of doing the right. So she had her side, I had my side. Right. I'm trying to establish, and forgive me, I'm going to jump around.
No, that's fine.
I'm doing my best not to have a Robert Mueller moment, okay?
You'll be good. You'll be good.
I'm an old guy. I'm an old guy. I admit it. But, all right. Thank you.
Please continue.
During our relationship, we saw a gap growing. And we were passionate about our own side of politics. And we were passionate about each other. We saw our own arguments and discussions, healthy, right?
Of course.
And we saw the need to disagree better. And so she approached me, and she's connected, okay, guys? I want to just, and again, she's great. She's intelligent. I fell in love with her, and she's great, okay? I'm not trying to disparage her in any way. We've parted ways, and that's it. But she's continued to go down this. I've become her hammer for her cause to disparage QAnon.
Okay, so you've become the physical embodiment of her efforts to discredit Q and the Q movement.
Which I see a lot of people online in the Twitter sphere doing.
Right, Twitter can be a dirty place.
Yeah. And that's what these articles are about. And there's been 4 up to this stage. The first one was done in Esquire. You can link those and read through those. It was one that I participated in. Early on, I could tell it was a QAnon probe in which they...
Now, I'm sorry, you just said the first article. I don't know that anyone knows about this yet. The result of you guys breaking up was that she approached Esquire magazine, or did Esquire magazine approach her looking to write an article about the fact that you followed Q and she didn't?
The Esquire magazine was done on the premise of trying to bridge the gap together. Okay. We were trying to take 2 different viewpoints, political viewpoints, one of which I had involved myself just initially, right? It goes way back, to the beginnings of Q in reading QAnon posts. She saw that as totally anti-Trump, anti-everything that was about, and ran with it. So that was fine and connected us. I agreed to the Esquire magazine article interview under the premise that it wasn't a hit piece on Q, okay? I didn't know enough about Q. I mean, I'm not a Q guy. I'm a Q observer, right?
Sure.
You couldn't ask me a question of a latest post and I probably wouldn't know it, but it comes up in my Twitter feed, okay? Long story short, I did the article. I actually canceled it halfway through. So I could clearly see that the questions that they were asking was going to be a hit piece. And I said, that's it, I'm done. I'm not doing this anymore. So we stopped the article. The editor called me back and we restarted under the premise of, okay, we're going to keep it to the original intent of two people that have different political viewpoints that want to help each other understand each other's viewpoints and communication, communicate better, right? All right.
Sure.
So I said, that's fine. I'll do that under that premise. Well, you can read the article. It still was a hit piece. And I learned my lesson. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, definitely. So the people from Esquire approached you. You guys were still together at the time, and you thought that would be a good idea because it would be a fair, honest look at two sides of the same coin. She's on the left, you're on the right, you happen to follow Q, she happens to not follow Q, and perhaps maybe look at it as something that isn't legitimate. But instead, what Esquire did is they turned it around and they used it as an opportunity to smear you as an individual. Is that right? Yeah.
There were things in there that definitely they took liberties with.
Yeah. Well, tell me about the experience of that Esquire article. I mean, what did they do with this article that they misrepresented to you?
I'm not going to get into the details. That's kind of the weeds at this point. Let's just go forward. She has that pinned to her tweet or to her Twitter profile.
Yep.
And there continued to be comments. So the opportunity there was to interact with people who read the article and commented on that article.
So while you guys were still together. She was soliciting comments from people on her side of the fence.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
So I, on the other hand, was trying to link with people who had read the article. They were Q people and were being disparaged, right? So we were trying. I mean, the goal is to help each other's radical sides, or to bridge the gap, the doggone gap. And that went south. In fact, it got to a point where her obsession, and she actually linked with, because of the article, Mike Rothschild.
Yes.
Who, I don't know his Twitter handle, forgive me, but
I believe it's Mike Rothschild. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. So that and several other people started to feed her information, and that's when the Q cult thing kind of took, because that was their handle. I mean, projection, right? So I'm seeing a group of people who are creating a cult-like atmosphere to disparage something that, it was like the History Channel for me, right? Sure. I'm reading these posts, and it's, you take somebody, and I don't believe everything I read. I'm going to research it myself. There's no factual information that I can really link to anyway without huge amounts of time, and I didn't have the time. I'm a business owner. I'm a dad. I'm not a grandpa yet, knock on wood. I may look like it, but I'm not, and I got a life. So I'm doing my best. I am Abby Normal, or if you go to my MeQ project site .org, you'll see I've tried to do my best to position this thing so I can help other people who have had the same kind of experience or a similar kind of experience to look at resources, and take themselves down my journey and see the mistakes I made, and opportunities to change our whole narrative to a point where it's positive.
I can certainly understand that. I think that the problem is nowadays it seems to me that the left is not interested in doing that. They're not interested in bridging the gap. They're only interested in converting everyone to their singular means of thinking. They are quite honestly, in my opinion, the embodiment of the fascist ideals that they claim to stand against. So Mike Rothschild writes this article, and clearly, again, he's looking to use this as an opportunity to disparage Q and to show that the Q movement itself is a reason that families are breaking up. Now, by the time this article was written and that she had linked up with Mike, were you guys still together, or had you broken up?
No, not together.
Okay, so you had broken up, and you guys broke up, and it was amicable, or was it contentious?
Yes and no.
Yeah, I'm sure it was complicated, just like any relationship.
She was her obsession with this QAnon phenomenon, which I really wasn't a part of, that she blamed on the breakup, got to a point where I was reading her post, and she referred to me as a Q-tip. She referred to me with disparaging. She was saying things as I watched her, and we looked at each other's profiles on Twitter, right?
Of course.
And that was part of the discussion. That was the fun part, right? So she would say things I would think. There was banter in the relationship, which is healthy if you keep the communication going, I think. But
of course.
Yeah, exactly. It just got to a point where it became obsessive. Her posts were 4 or 5 to 1. To the end, it got to 10 to 1. It was her obsession with the QAnon phenomenon, and I was like, take away the politics. It was like, why? And in my opinion, she was being fed from this hate cult Q group. And we can list them if you want to, but I
don't think it's necessary. I don't care to draw attention to them,
No.
But my question is, did she ever have any type of recognition that the problem was more the way that she was behaving with regards to all this, and perhaps the way that she was treating you publicly, rather than just the fact that you were aware of Q and following it to some degree? Because banter is one thing, but inviting public scorn is another.
There's a mindset difference that I have not figured out yet between the left and the right.
Right.
They deal in emotions. This is Venus and Mars, right? Male and female. I add that to the mix, right?
Right.
I don't understand the liberal mentality yet, and I'm middle of the road plus. She became obsessed with a cause, and trying to save the people on the Q side, on the anti-Q side, and looked for the fanatical side. So this group searched for, and including Rothschild, anybody that would say anything negative about someone in their family who was Q-based, and totally, in my opinion, exaggerate to a cause, to promote their cause.
So after, the difficult thing for me is to understand how here's the thing though. The whole thing is weird to me. It's too bad. The fact that it seemed like, obviously you guys had a solid relationship despite your political differences, but in the end, the public nature of this airing of grievances seems to be what caused the demise, and it's only gotten worse if I'm correct. Since everything came to a head, because there was another article that was written, I believe, with Vice. The link actually is just directing to the Daily Dot article, so I'm unable to pull it up. What was the content?
Do a refresh. I did fix that.
Okay,
Do a refresh.
Let me refresh here. Let's pull that up. What was the content of the Vice article like?
It was a leverage of the Rothschild article, and then added on to it. So she did it under an interview of a false name, and she is Joan in the article, and another Q person reached out to me and said, "Hey, have you seen this article?" This was after she told me there was no other interviews. So clearly I was like, oh, okay, fine. And he said, is this Joan her? Or, and I read it and it was like, oh my gosh, it is. So let's just drill down just a bit, and forgive me. So after the relationship, took a break, I started to date again. I went back on Match.com. So this is now, where are we at? June. And I Google people, right? She Googled me and she said, have you seen this article about you? Is this you? So she knew about me before I knew about me, for God's sakes. Talk about reputation slander. And I backtracked and was like, oh my gosh, I have a girlfriend that's ex-girlfriend who's a little nuts. So my point is, the mainstream media, the ultra-left media, is doing their best to disparage anybody with any traction whatsoever. And I'm a normal guy. I am a fly on the speck of a ass of whatever you want. I'm nobody. If they can do that to me, who are they going to do that to at your level?
No, exactly. That's one of the reasons I stay anonymous, because this is another thing about the left, is that they don't care what they do to people. There is no sense of decency. I know that there are going to be exceptions to that rule, but unfortunately, across the board, there is a feeling that it's okay to malign people that don't agree with you. It's okay to physically beat someone who doesn't agree with you. And they will have no problem branding someone with a slanderous smear and dragging their reputation through the mud. And now recently there was one more article that was written, and that was the Frame article. I'm actually not going to bring that up on the air just because of the nature of what happened in it. But can you tell us a little bit about that?
Again, that was one that popped up. I got a DM on Twitter to make a statement on this article, and in transparency, Mike Rothschild did too, but I didn't see his post, his DM for it, so I didn't respond. So we posted the article before. So I contacted her and said, "You did another interview." She was like, "Oh yeah, I thought that got canceled," and I was like, "All right." And we went through the process of trying to overcome this mistrust of another. This is 4. Okay, so there were 3 articles plus the one that I agreed to on Esquire that she had done interviews for and promoted in essence. And this one was out of bounds because she provided pictures of my children, and that's just not acceptable. There's a line I cross. It's a no-go zone, and so I currently have a cease and desist with them. Again, if you are in my shoes and being disparaged, go to my website and let's figure out. I'll try to take you down my journey and see how we can help each other. I'm learning. I don't know what to do, but my reputation I mean, I'll get over the dating thing, right?
Of
If
course.
this affects my business, there's a problem. If this affects my children, we're going to have a conversation.
Well,
And
it's I mean, and it sounds like it has. I mean, they've already been, made public, and unfortunately, this is one of those things that happens in today's world with, the idea of doxing and such. But I mean, there's also such thing as tortious interference. I mean, they are all of these articles have a similar theme. They're trying to show that QAnon is something that ruins families. And clearly that's not the case. It's the left, the mindset of the left that is ruining families, because we don't have any articles on the right that are similar to this. I've never seen an article talking about how, being a Democrat is something that has broken up a family. I mean, although, it's getting to be more and more likely that people of differing political persuasions are not going to be involved in relationships. But again, that's all something that I see on the left. I mean, and you, like you said, you live in Minnesota. I mean, it's a very left-leaning state. What's life like on a daily basis? I mean, has this affected your business?
not that I can tell.
Okay, good. I'm glad to hear that. Okay, well, let's, I think we've exhausted, the idea of what's happened. Let's talk about what you've done to turn this into a positive experience.
I mean, initially I did address this group of people on Twitter. I tried to hold up the mirror to them to show them the mob mentality that they had, and point out the fact that they were steering her to some false narratives. I mean, it just, at least try to have a discussion. That went south. That went nowhere. They didn't want to have all. They just blocked me, right?
Yeah, right.
Especially when I started to hold up the skirt, right, and say the emperor has no clothes. Man, they ran like fly. She continues to. We see each other's profiles, but I have protected mine. I mean, there was one very iffy gentleman who was saying, I had an AK-47 and a go bag in my closet, and Kim should get out of there right now. They shut him down, thank God. I mean, that group of people. But seriously,
yeah,
I can emphatically say that is not the case. So I did what I could on Twitter, but, my reach is so small. I know I'm not doing anything there. Beyond that, I've done what I can in this new website, trying to just promote a conversation.
All right, and that website is the meqproject.org. All right, and so tell us what is the website, and what can people find there?
Well, I hope people will share their own stories, and we can gather resources, help links. Tracy Beans, has talked about PACER and legal searching on certain people or certain things. I've got some legal things and definitions on what is libel, what is slander. If you're depressed, if you really are on the fringe as a Q person who's gone out there and gone down the rabbit hole, for God's sakes, just take a deep breath and come back. And it's not worth losing your family or separating yourself from, what you love for a cause. Be passionate, yes, but at some point, as I said, we have to come back together as Americans, and bridge the gap. And so I'm trying to do listening skills. I've got books. I've got resources. I don't know what else to do. What would you do if you were me? If you were me and went through this, all I can do is the things that I've tried to educate myself, and help others, and take you down my journey. So let's do it together. It's not my story.
So I mean, this is almost like a rational red pilling website. I mean, I see here on the R Storm page, you've got a couple ideas, 7 tips for healthy political talk. I mean, this is something that I think everybody should read, whether you're on the left or the right. And then you've also got resources here. This is for people to get legal help, people to go to PACER to look up web or cases and stuff like that. So obviously this is aimed at people perhaps who are in a situation like yourself, people who are in relationships, and this would extend beyond romantic relationships. I mean, this would be a website that people could use if you find yourself in a situation where perhaps your parents are not yet awake. Your brothers and sisters are not yet awake. So you can use what you find on this website and gather the information and find an easier way to talk to people. I think that this is incredibly important in today's world, especially because we are so divided as a nation, so partisan. And again, unfortunately, this is all things that I see on the left. I mean, the people that I have here in my chat, the people that I see on a daily basis on social media, these are people on the right. That's who I associate with. I don't associate with the people on the left to the large degree, because every time I have attempted to, they want to get into a shouting match. People go from 0 to 100 in no time flat. And here on this website, you can get these tips, but then you also have a section for people to share their story if they're in a similar situation like yourself. Tell us about that.
Post what you can, ask questions, ask for resources. I'll do what I can to help. I'm going to kind of go through a course to make sure that nobody's giving information that they shouldn't. So I'll be a monitor of the site. I'll post whatever I can, but ultimately it's just it's a portal to do what Kim and I originally set out to do in the Esquire, helping people on both sides of the fence, those that are dealing with a friend or cohort that believes in the QAnon phenomenon and doesn't understand it, not trying to red pill them, but just trying to get them to talk, to have a conversation, a healthy conversation. Let's learn to disagree better. That's the core. It's not, we just don't know how to disagree anymore. Right?
No, I fully agree. And that's the main reason that I wanted to have you on the program, is because, like I said, we find ourselves in a hyper-partisan world. And unfortunately, people are worked up into a frenzy, and that's mainly due to the media that we find on the left. If a person had no idea who Q was, if a person had only mainstream media sources to refer to, then you would think that the world is very different from what it is today. And you would think that anyone who disagrees with you is a complete fascist. And unfortunately, there is a segment of the population here in the United States that actually believe that, because that is the only thing that they refer to. They're only watching MSNBC. They're only watching CNN. Don Lemon is their favorite anchor. And so when you have a person such as yourself, who is obviously very level-headed, very willing to compromise and have a conversation, unfortunately, it's getting more and more difficult to find someone on the other side of the political aisle who's willing to do that.
Yeah, and let me just do a bit of a stupid anomaly here.
Go ahead.
Don't drink from the well in your backyard, people. Stop drinking the Kool-Aid that people hand you, for God's sakes, much less drink from Lake Superior, drink from a great lake. Take in everything and make your own decisions, because if you isolate yourself to what they feed you, what you're going to drink is the only red or blue Kool-Aid that they feed you. Just open your eyes.
What's great, in my opinion, about the Q movement is that that's something that we're told on a regular basis. Do the research for yourself. And I always say it to people here: don't take my word for it. Go and look it up. Do the research and make your own mind up. Use discernment. Sort through as much information as you possibly can. And don't think with a herd mentality. Herd mentality is what, is dangerous, and that's what we see on the left too often. Let's see. So on the website, I'm going to go ahead and drop the link to this into the comments of the chat so that everybody can go check it out. I'm sure that many people have experiences such as this. I'd actually like to share my own personal story. I haven't seen my sister in quite some time. And I believe she knows what my political leanings are. She is extremely left-wing. I ran into her at the doctor's office the other day. It's to the point where she had a child, my nephew, and she did not want me to come around and to meet him. I haven't met my nephew yet. He's 8 months old. One moment. And so she asked me what I was doing now, and I told her that I had a program on YouTube, and her response to that was, like we need another white male giving his opinion on anything, as if by virtue of the fact of who I am intrinsically, something I cannot change about myself. Because of that, my opinion is not worth anyone, even considering. And that's so far from anything that I would ever say to her. I would never think that that because she is a white female, or even better, because she's a Democrat, that I wouldn't want to hear her opinion. I have, I actually, have a strong desire to have a conversation with her about this stuff. I would really like the opportunity to be able to speak with her, but unfortunately, because of her political leanings, she is not interested in doing that, and it's really sad. The reason I mention this, guys, is because I urge anybody who has been themselves in a situation like that to go ahead and go to this website, the METHYproject.org, and go ahead and share your experience. And I would say, why not even share it with the person in your family or the person that you had a relationship with, asking them if they wouldn't, mind sharing their experience, because I think it might be a big eye-opener. I think if they go and take a look at that Our Storm page and they see how to have a political dialogue, how to have a conversation with someone, it's possible that they might have some type of a realization that they're behaving in a bad way, that it's unhealthy to do that.
I'm gonna put a 2 cents in too. There is a grassroots effort for stuff that I'm not the only one that's doing this. There are groups out there trying. They see the problem. They see the end result of the divisiveness, and they know that there's an end game. It's going to get worse before it gets better, right, guys? At some point, we have to come together and bridge this gap. So I urge you to look in your own areas and your own little Twitter spheres or whatever, and then expand it and try to figure out how we're going to get through this shit. Because what I see now ain't pretty. Okay?
Right.
And I'm a brand guy, and I fear for the Democratic Party. We got to have two parties at least. I'm frustrated, like a lot of Americans are.
I agree. I see a lot of frustration out there. And, I just want everybody to know that, my sister is a good person, I think that she is herself a victim of this hyper-partisan world that we live in, She, like many people, has fallen prey to the bait that's been put out by the mainstream media and by the Democratic Party. They are interested in keeping us divided. They want us to remain that way because it makes us easier to control. If we tribe up, if the only thing that we do is believe that we have to fight each other, then it makes it easier for them to slip through the cracks and continue on with their mission, which is the control of all of us. And again, that is what is so beautiful about this movement, you guys, because it is about us thinking for ourselves. It is about us finding our way through this world and not relying on the power brokers, not relying on the puppet masters, not relying on the people who have traditionally been thought of as the only people who can give us the narrative. So I really hope that people can come together on this. I think that in time, in the future, we are going to find ourselves where we all will be able to come together, because the crimes of the left, the crimes of these cabal members, they will be brought to the surface. People will find out, and it's going to be sooner rather than later. We've got lots of stories that we're going to be talking about here in a little bit, and we'll talk about that a little bit more. But I just want to know, Blake, what is it like for you in your hometown, in terms of the political dialogue? Do you find that your experience with your former girlfriend was the exception, or do you find that is more common due to the fact that Minnesota is a left-leaning state?
It's the exception.
Okay, good.
The bottom line we've learned here is don't talk about it, right? Politics, we don't talk about. We go to dinner, we're doing our social thing. As soon as it comes up at the dinner table, we're great at not talking. So call it as it is. I mean, it's hard to avoid, but if you're a conservative or independent side leaning to a conservative, that the far left views you as a conservative just because you're an independent, you don't get it. If you voted for Trump, you're a moron. It's still the case. It's sad but true, and I don't see it getting better. I really don't. Yet. I think it will with our help, but it ain't getting better. It's sad.
It is, unfortunately, and I don't see it getting better anytime too soon. I think even once this has been revealed, and unfortunately, Blake, I do believe that we're going to see the demise of the Democratic Party. I
think so too.
Yeah, I don't see how they can survive once this is all said and done.
2020 is going to have to sweep. I mean, we're going to have this the carpet swept, right?
Yes. It's just
going to have to. There's going to be a true change. If you look at the 7 levels of change, that's what's occurring right now.
Right. I just need to do a couple of quick thank yous for the audience. Chris Guidry, thank you very much for that super chat. Jeff Stewart, Q is about love. Thank you for that super chat, and you are totally right. Taliana Lee says, my granddaughter just joined. She said she wanted to go into the rabbit hole, but she has to lie to keep being able to see her siblings. Well, that's a familiar story, and I am sorry to hear that. Slim1776 says, to my coworkers, family, and friends, and Red Pill 78's mom, awake, where we go one, we go all. Thank you, Slim. Ryan
Hi,
I'm sure she'll say hi there in the chat. Ryan McAdams, thank you very much for those super chats. Zoso Dude 77, thank you very much for that super chat. Marshall Harrington, thank you for that. Jeff Stewart says good versus evil. Q, that's right. And then Carissa Hartunian says, sorry, Red Pill, some in my fam think I'm crazy. Yeah, I know that I'm not in a special circumstance here. And I don't believe Blake is either. I just think he's in a unique circumstance because of how public it became. Now, if you guys want to read those articles, again, those are on his website, and I would like to, suggest that everybody go there. And if you have a story that you'd like to share, you can do that. And my mom does say hi, Blake. Were there any parts that we missed? Anything that you specifically wanted to cover before we go?
I don't think so. Was there questions that came online that we wanted to look at?
No, I've been watching the chat. Everybody's just kind of been following along, so nothing specific. I mean, I think there were some things earlier specifically about the relationship, but anybody that wants to know that stuff can check that out in those articles for sure.
Okay, perfect.
All right. Well, why don't you tell us your Twitter profile or perhaps Facebook, anywhere that you'd like people to contact you besides the website?
Yeah, the contact information is on the website. Beyond that, I'm just going to let it sit there because I'm not promoting myself. I don't I mean, I have very few links or followers, and I don't follow that many people. It's not about collecting baseball cards here. Um, I I'm trying to do what I can in my own little world. Okay,
Oh, no, of
it's not
course.
about me. It's
Yeah.
not about me.
No, this is a movement, and we each have our own part to play in it. So, but you know, if anybody does want to get a hold of Blake, again, that is on the website. You know, we each have our own small part to play. We have a lot of eyes and ears that we need to open up, and it's going to take quite some time. You know, I think it's amazing how far we've come in such a short amount of time, though. You know, if I look back to, 2015, it's a vastly different world, and I think it's for the better.
Yep, I agree. Thank you.
You're very welcome. And then real quick before we go, we do have CWP24 from Twitch. I'm thankful that I didn't fall for the bait. I've been a conservative my whole life in California, no less. America will get through this together no matter what. And then Charles Pixley says, we can only change ourselves. God is time, and he is creating new life. Those on top of the mountain will see the light first, and those in the valley will see it later. That's right, Charles. Charles, a good friend of the program. Charles, I do want to have you back on the program here soon, buddy, so we'll talk to you about that later. Lynn Little says, love your show, Red Pill 78. Well, thank you very much. All right, Blake. Thank you so much for coming on tonight. Thank you for opening up and sharing your story. And I do hope that we get a lot of people going to your website. And I hope that it accomplishes your goal of bridging the gap and allowing people to have a dialogue, because it's just something that is sorely missing from America today. It's something I remember from when I was a kid, and I've just watched it slowly erode over the last 10 years or so. So I hope this can make a difference, buddy.
Thank you. I appreciate the time.
You're very welcome. Thanks for being here, and we'll talk to you soon. Yep. Bye-bye. All right, guys. Thank you again, Blake. I do appreciate you coming on the show. Thank you to the audience. We're going to get Spaceshot76 on the phone right now because we've got lots of news to go over. In the meantime, I am going to drop the link to the website in the comment section below. There we go. That will come through. Let's go ahead and give a call to Spaceshot76. Actually, guys, it looks like Spaceshot is not done putting his son to bed yet. So what I'm going to do is we're going to switch back here, and I'm going to increase the size of the chat box, and we're going to pull up the stories that we're going to be going over, because there's quite a bit of information to go over tonight. Let's see here. Maybe we'll do a bit of a Q&A in the chat here as well. Let me get that bigger. All right. Oh, you heard me vaping. Oh, sorry about that. I thought I hit the mute button. Let's see. All right. Sorry about that ring, guys. I know that some people really don't like that Skype ring. Let's see. Did you happen to check my video from the other day regarding Sal Cincinnelli, the FBI agent? Who was unfortunately committed suicide, or you might say arkancided. We'll have to see about that. But he was unique for a couple of different things. He actually had a sister who was accused of a murder for hire plot, and it kind of brings the whole thing together. Oh, it looks like Spaceshot will be ready in 5. Okay, thank you for that, Bree. Appreciate it. Well, the FBI agent brother of an NYPD cop accused in a murder for hire plot killed himself while out of town with other agents, law enforcement sources told the Post on Wednesday. And I just need to let Spaceshot know that I will call him. All right, excellent. Okay, let's see here. Now, Sal Cincinnati, that was who committed suicide in that bar, was found with at least one gunshot wound inside the Container Bar in Austin, Texas, when cops arrived there shortly before midnight on July 16th in response to a report of gunfire, a spokesperson for the Austin Police Department said. Now, what's really weird about this case, you guys, is that it was kept quiet for just a little bit over a week. The police did not want anybody talking about it. The FBI specifically did not want anyone talking about it. When I called the FBI trying to verify this case, they wouldn't talk to me about it. I also tried calling the bar where it apparently happened, and they did not answer. Let's see. But the incident, it is being reported as a suicide. Now, if you guys saw my video the other day, there was an eyewitness who contacted me and said that, this was in a post, not the eyewitness. This was in a post, said that when it happened, there was an FBI agent who ran around from behind the bar. He was wearing a shirt and had he had an FBI vest on underneath. So he was pretending to be a bartender. Now, that is really weird. I can totally see FBI hanging out, at a bar, but why would there need to be an FBI agent posing as a bartender behind the bar? There were many other people in that bar. It wasn't just FBI agents. It was FBI agents and civilians. So very strange that there was a bartender who was actually an FBI agent. I do need to say thank you to I Dream of Jesus. She says, thank you, Red Pill. You are a hero for truth. I've always went against the grain for God. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that and appreciate the super chat. Slim1776 says, piling on Jeff Stewart, we have the same last name. You always seem to be in my live stream. By the way, Red Pill 78, I vape too. Awesome. Thank you, guys. Appreciate that. Now, Cincinnati was previously a Wall Street trader who joined the FBI in 2011, and he led the financial crime investigations in New York City before being promoted to the Bureau's headquarters in Washington, D.C. Now, if you guys remember, he also had previously investigated the Clinton Foundation. Now, my mom actually found a tip on, I believe it was Crazy Days and Nights, and I'm going to go over that real quick right here because it had a really interesting perspective. Let's see. So that was George Nader right there. Here is... Okay, so it said the Wall Street career before his law enforcement career is what people need to be looking at in terms of his death. His last job prior to law enforcement had him working in cahoots with several people manipulating the currency market. One of a trio arrested in 2017 said that the broker turned Fed was letting them know the status of investigations and giving them inside information about what law enforcement was doing. So, now this is an interesting thing here, because if he was giving people who are manipulating the currency market the tips, perhaps the FBI was on to him, and perhaps this night, maybe he was set to be arrested, and that's why there was an FBI agent that was behind the bar posing as a bartender. Just an interesting perspective here. But if he did this himself, this blind item here would make sense because it would mean that he might be, in the hangman's noose, so to speak, in terms of getting caught. And it's interesting because he also had the sister who had that murder for hire plot. So maybe this points to a family which has some sketchy leanings. Very, very interesting. Now, his younger sister was an NYPD cop. Her name was Valerie, and she was busted by the FBI in May for allegedly scheming to have her estranged husband killed amid a bitter divorce. And now she's being held without bail. And apparently she's devastated by the passing of her brother, which was her best friend, and this is certainly adding to the stress of her current situation. Now, a since-deleted obituary, and which I had found and already published on the show, said that Cincinnati died on July 17th and was buried in the Holy Road Cemetery in Westbury, Long Island on Monday, following a funeral at St. Anthony's Church in Oceanside. Now, this is his sister Valerie right there. In 2012, he was among several FBI agents interviewed by Reuters for a report on Wall Streeters who quit high-paying jobs to investigate financial crimes. Think about this. Have you guys ever seen The Departed? The Departed, an interesting movie. It is about someone who is a criminal who joins the FBI simply so that he can give inside information to the criminals with which he is still affiliated. Just something to think about. What if Sal Cincinnati did something very similar? All right, you guys, it looks like Space Shot is ready for the show, so we're going to give him a call. Let me just rearrange my screen right here, and we'll get everybody back on track. I saw that we had some Trump hater in the chat a little bit earlier, and we've had some trolls in the chat tonight. Not a problem. This is America. All of us have the right to have our own opinion. So we're going to get Space Shot on the horn.
How's it going, brother?
Hey, what's up, Space Shot? Good to hear from you.
How am I sounding? Nice and clear?
Yeah, you sound great. You sound great.
Beautiful.
All right, so
I had to make a dash.
Not a problem, dude. Not a problem. I know it was a few minutes before I said I was going to call, but that's not a big deal. So I don't know if you heard, but I was talking about the Sal Cincinnati case. I don't know if you saw my video the other day, but I covered it a little bit then. Have you covered any of the information on this case right here?
I have not actually. Since I got back from vacation, I've been like double timing it, and Q's been dropping, like crazy. So yeah, I was listening to a little bit while I was in the chat for a few seconds there. Good
stuff. Well, I mean, the gist of it is that Sal was a former Wall Street broker who joined the FBI to investigate financial crimes. He apparently shot himself in a crowded bar in Austin, Texas. He and some fellow FBI agents were out celebrating. And an eyewitness had posted that when he shot himself, there was an FBI agent that ran around from behind the bar. He was dressed as a bartender. And when the shot went off, he ran around, he took off his shirt, and he was wearing an FBI vest underneath. So that made me think that he must have been undercover, right? Because
it had to be some kind of op, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Some kind of op. Now, there was a post that my mom found, which said from Crazy Days and Nights, said that the reason that he shot himself was due to the fact that he was still involved with financial crimes. He was helping to manipulate the currency market with some of his former people back on Wall Street, and he was giving inside information to them. And I was just mentioning The Departed. It made me think of The Departed. That's a great movie. Have you ever seen it?
Oh yeah, it's one of my favorites. I love that movie.
Yeah. So like,
absolutely great.
What if he joined the FBI looking to do this specifically, become part of financial crimes unit so that he could give tips back to people still working on Wall Street so that, they would be able to beat the system. Now, somebody said there was also a woman agent undercover. I did hear that as well. Probably, multiple undercover agents. But that's the only thing that I can think of that makes any sense, that he must have been under observation. And they must have been on to him because it would also make, it would make sense why he decided to go ahead and take his own life if that was, what he did.
Now, do they have video footage on this? Like, is it pretty cut and dry that he actually did it?
From what I understand, there were many people in the bar who were civilians. There were people who definitely got video, and the FBI had to go to those people and ask them to delete it, or they confiscated it.
Oh, well, where have we heard that before?
Right.
Like,
now,
Las Vegas.
People keep saying bullet to the back of his head. I have not heard anywhere reported. I haven't seen an autopsy. I haven't seen it reported anywhere that he had, been shot in the back of the head. I know that's kind of a meme. That's a common meme. It's that Clinton Arkansas thing. But if he was in the back, then obviously it seems very suspicious to me. Not a suicide. Slim 1776 said spaceship. I think he meant to say space shot. But hi, thanks for that.
Yeah, that's one I use too. Yeah, the guy stabbed himself 10 times in the back and threw himself off a bridge.
Right. Oh, well, tell me.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead, brother.
I was just going to ask how the vacation went.
Oh yeah, we had a good time. It was good weather. There was only that one day we had the heat wave. It was scorching, but other than that, just chilling out and relaxing and late night making videos. But it was a good time. But what I was actually thinking, what I was just going to say about The Departed there. I wonder, like you do, about how many people or how many different groups of people try to get into situations like that. Where they infiltrate the FBI or whatever agency it might be. Just to basically come down the line. Like I forgot what the guy's name was, Frank in The Departed.
Yeah.
Jack Nicholson. So he was like the head guy. We probably have these people from different countries. Like, obviously we know they were trying to infiltrate our government through the MB, these little
yes.
coded word, the M Brotherhood. But, I wonder how many different people try to gain access to our government like that in order to do, what they were doing in the movie and so much worse, Oh,
I think you're right on. I think that there is quite a bit of that takes place. The federal government is a huge bureaucracy. There are so many different agencies that people could, find themselves employed in and be able to give back information to criminals on the outside. I would not be surprised at all.
Yeah, you got a guy on the inside, just like the movie, paying people off to make sure you don't get arrested for whatnot. But yeah, it's been done for sure. I know they were doing it with the M Brotherhood. That's just one aspect of it. And then they were talking about. Remember a few years ago, they were talking about the MS-13 gang members that were joining the army for that purpose as well.
I know about the Fort Hood guy. So I kind of assumed that had taken place there. Slim just says, I did mean spaceship. We are on it. You guys are great. Well, thanks, buddy. I appreciate it. Thanks for clarifying.
Hey, I appreciate it. Yeah, that's a nice comment. I mean, I've heard ones that space SHIT, comments and whatnot, but that's a nice one. Thank you.
Oh, man. I just, also, you guys, I wanted to say congratulations to a longtime listener of the show, Lady Warrenon. She was queued just, I believe, 2 days ago. Very, very cool.
Yeah.
I
remember reading it.
I was recording the video, and the post had just popped up. I just refreshed my screen, and they showed up, and I was like, oh, and here's a post from Christine Polan, and then I click it, and I was like, oh my gosh, it's Lady Warrenon. How cool.
That's awesome, man. I'm telling you, you can ask Bree, because I've been like, come on, let's make a meme on this, and I've been trying so hard to get queued, and I'm sure you've heard that whole, alternate theory that, if you get queued, it's a bad thing. But I think we know Lady Warrenon is not a bad person, and I don't think that holds water. That whole theory, like if you get queued, it's really a bad thing. I mean, I've been trying like hell to get on there. I can't,
Yeah. No, I mean, I don't think it's a bad thing. I mean, could Q be showing us particular posts from people because he wants us to dig into it? I mean, definitely. But I mean, I think the vast majority of the time when he points something out, he's just trying to show, good information.
Yeah, like, Sean at Corticon had put that link between Chandler and Epstein the other day, which is good. And actually, our good friend Tron over at Patriot News, he had dropped some information last week, and 20 minutes later, Q had dropped it on the board. I was like, wow, because Hulkanator was telling me all about that. And I think it happened twice to him in like the last month or so. So it's really good to see, good people getting queued. And that way, we can know that, these people aren't like agents or anything like that. It's people that we know. So, I doubt that they are, I don't think that thing. And I never thought that held any water, watch this person and we're going to keep highlighting this person. I don't think that holds water at all.
No, I don't really either. Well, the next story I wanted to talk about here, Space Shot, was it's from The Hill. And I guess the FBI found buckets of severed body parts. It was a corpse donation facility where I guess people are donating their bodies to science, and the people there, the people working there, it was like a Frankenstein factory. They were taking people's bodies and sewing them together. Just incredible. It was in Arizona. And now it's being sued by the FBI because of, just the things that they found there. Just, I mean, it's a really, really grisly thing. But, it took place in Arizona. And,
freaking nuts.
There's a lot of weird stuff. Crazy. A lot of weird stuff happening in Arizona. That's where, you've got the Arizona Mafia. We talked about that a couple of weeks ago here with Jeff Peterson. It's obviously it's a major smuggling route. It seems from the content of the article that these people they're making them out to just kind of have a really sick sense of humor, like there's some like a morbid joke or something. But I can't imagine. I don't know anybody who would think that this would be something fun to do. I think if you find yourself working in a place like this, you've already got to have kind of a certain mindset.
Yeah, it's like an undertaker. People that work at funeral homes, or that's like what the average person would say. From the outward looking in. But remember that Q drop where they had the, and I think this was a foreign country because they were speaking another language, but. You remember the Q drop where they had I guess we could say the results from a Planned Parenthood situation where they actually picked up the little, the deceased baby and basically like played around with it like it was a doll. Like these, if you're doing stuff like that, man, these people don't deserve to be walking free. And I don't care if you're working at a medical facility or whatever, but the fact that somebody could even do that and laugh at it and say, that's a funny thing, or even, try to bring up a funny joke like that. That is like beyond disgusting. These people, Hugh says it, these people are sick, absolutely sick.
Absolutely sick. And Dr. B just said, I saw the Frankenstein body donation place too. It doesn't surprise me at all. Dr. B, when you say that, do you mean that the type of people that would work there, this seems like the kind of thing that they would do? And I'm asking, based on your medical opinion. And Slim1776, very generous donation there, said, don't get caught up on numbers. Look at the overall information the spaceship delivers. Believe in W and research for yourselves. I think that might be believe in Q. You can correct me if I'm wrong. And then Wheezy Girl says, every day here in Arizona, I get news alerts. It's sad. Let's see. Now, we did just actually have a post. We've had a couple of posts recently in regards to Dan Coates. Looks like Dan Coates is going to be going the way of the dodo next week. That's pretty good news. Are you still there, Space Shot?
Oh, sorry, I was muted. I was doing the red pill vape situation over there. Yeah, but that's exactly why President Trump had to go around him and authorize Bill Barr to be able to get all that information from all the different agencies, because he's obviously not playing ball with Team MAGA. So it's good to see him going. Hashtag fly Dan fly. Hashtag he needs to absolutely go.
Yeah,
that was leaked earlier too.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say. Back in February, we heard that. So it is a good thing. I'm definitely glad that Coates is going to be out the door. This is going to allow President Trump to put someone in there that he can trust, somebody that can help Bill Barr fulfill the mission, because we are so close to the end here. This is a good time. I also want to say hi to Patriot Lady Biker. I was going to specifically give a prayer request for you tonight because I hadn't heard from you in a while since our last email. So I hope you're doing well, and I hope that everything is working out. The next story that I wanted to talk about here, Space Shot, was that the 16 Marines that were arrested on accusations ranging from human smuggling to drug trafficking. Did you hear about that?
Oh, yes. Yeah, and that's, that's basically the faction of these people that would do that sort of thing. You know what I mean? Obviously, good people aren't going to be doing that stuff. So hopefully this is part of the cabal, and it's not just some, outside faction by themselves. But, we're seeing results. We're seeing a lot of arrests. And that Disney thing the other day, they were talking about, this executive getting arrested and that executive. I know everybody wants to see, all right, let's get Hillary out of there. Everybody wants to see Hillary and Bill and Soros. But, these people that we're seeing, they're not the main people. But it's really good to see that at least we're getting these arrests by these people. I mean, military guys, human trafficking. Obviously, they had to have been getting some sort of help from the military, because I think you covered as well the the tail plane number or whatever that Jeffrey Epstein was sharing with another military plane.
Yes,
he was
I
able
did.
to access these areas. Crazy,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, totally crazy. I want to know exactly how they are able to do that. You know, I mean, there must be he must have tremendous resources with people on the inside. And the thing about it is that all of that leaves a paper trail. You know, we are going to find out about those people. Now, before we get into anything more on that, because that's in the next story. We're going to talk about that next. But let's talk in a little more in depth about these Marines. So they were arrested on Thursday. There was 16 of them, and the U.S. Marine Corps said in a press release that they were arrested during a battalion formation at Camp Pendleton in California, of all places. They're all members of the 1st Battalion, 5th Marines, and they rank between E2 and E4, which I guess is private first class to corporal. And it looks like they were involved in human smuggling, and they had probably been under observation for quite some time. And then there were an additional 8 Marines who were taken aside for questioning regarding their alleged involvement in drug offenses unrelated to those main arrests. So it looks like Camp Pendleton specifically has some real issues there. Watch California. Definitely watch California. Now, Ida No said, is the Anon game Save the Children real? Names will be interesting. Can you play it while we watch? I don't think, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if it's real. I think that I don't know if that was just a joke that Q was putting out there, or if that was something that was found on the board and someone said they're actually developing it. Have you heard anything about that, Spaceshot?
I think it's what you said at first. I think it's, it was like another game that somebody made, and they were basically just, having a play on words, or not a play on words, but like a play with it, kind of. And, Q later said, it's not funny, but,
yeah,
we'll put a Punisher face on Pepe there.
Right, right.
Basically, the characters or the lists of people are known, so that's good. Obviously, they have it all. And I was going to say that as well, what you had mentioned, Watch California. Is this part of Watch California? Because that's big. I mean, 16 Marines, is it right?
Yeah, that's right.
Or,
and then the additional 8. What this really underscores for me is that the cabal is so far-reaching. They have their fingers in literally every pie, and they have infiltrated every single level of every single power structure. So, it's great to see this. Because as a whole, the Marines, I believe, are very dedicated to the cause, and very dedicated to keeping the United States safe, and to their oath
Absolutely.
to the United States. Unfortunately, there were a couple of bad apples here, but they were able to get them sorted out. Now, it begs the question: are we going to see any more arrests throughout the armed services before we end up seeing some arrests on the civilian side?
Yeah, and it's funny. Why isn't this thing all wrapped up now? I think it kind of displays how much we've actually grown too. Everybody that's listening and everybody that's making these videos, I think we've grown a lot because I've said it a few times. Like last April, I was getting fed up. Like, we need to see arrests now. This is ridiculous. Like, what the hell's going on? And then a short while after that, I took a step back and I was like, listen, I'm talking to myself here, right? So
Right.
Listen, like you have this spider web, it comes in from everywhere, and it's not just military, and it's not just human trafficking, and it's not just drugs, it's bribery, it's extortion, it's so many different things in so many different areas. We'd be foolish to think that they could, I would be foolish back then to think that they could have this thing all wrapped up in a year or 6 months. It's going to be a few years anyways till it's all said and done.
Right.
But I do definitely see some major progress for sure.
I think that you're right. It is going to take some time. But I believe that 2019 is where we're really going to see it kicking off, and we're probably going to see a lot of public things happening just in this year. In my opinion, a majority of it, a lot of it has to take place before 2020, because the 2020 election cycle is going to have to be kind of cleaned up. I think we're probably going to see the death of the Democratic Party before then. So they're going to need time to get their candidates together and to get their platform together, because they are going to be completely wiped out.
It's pathetic. The Democratic Party they have nobody that could even come close to beating him right now. And with that said, I'll make sure I always say, don't take it for granted that they don't have anybody that can go up against them. We need to actually get out and vote and make sure we, show up in numbers and try to even break some records, perhaps. But they are absolutely decimated, and I agree with what you're saying. I've been saying that I feel like anyway, and I don't know if you agree with this or not, but I feel like we need to see, on the Anon side, we need to see something major, one major player, a few major players put away before that 2020 election, and something happened with the border wall, because I feel like, even if they don't have anybody great coming after him, they could have a late person installed, like I say like a Michelle Obama or like an Oprah, even though Trump's laughed at that. But I think if we don't see some sort of results, his support could fade a little bit, and because we've hyped all this stuff up, like all these people are going down. And while we do see it, we need to see some people shackled up. And I think it needs to happen before that election.
I mean, I agree. I think that we do need to see that happen, and I personally think that it's going to happen. I've said it many times on the program before. We are looking at probably the largest organized criminal organization in the history of the world that is being taken down right now. We've still got all of those sealed indictments. Each one of those is going to have to be unsealed, and it's going to take time. Now, they're not, each one of those, that means that they already have charges brought against these people. But, they also need to make sure that once they arrest these people or once they bring them to trial, that there isn't going to be a power vacuum that just sucks in all of these other terrible people. They have to have people that are ready to fill all of these positions and to kind of take over. So, yeah, they are all organized criminals. That's right. They are organized criminals. Joey Fountain said, "You guys do the research for us. Thank you, mom and wife of soldiers." Well, thank you very much, Joey, for that. I appreciate it. And I am happy to do research. But I want everybody to remember that I am just one man. We can only do so much. So I appreciate the help that I get from everybody here in the audience when it comes down to offering their assistance and doing research. And I know that, Spaceshot, you've got lots of great viewers who like to send you tips as well.
Yeah, I was just going to say, isn't that great? I mean, and I was actually thinking about it before I was hustling to get on here, and I was literally looking through my emails earlier today, and I was thinking, what a great community we have. I mean, we really do have a bunch of great people, and there's so many people out there that want to see this stuff cleaned up because, I work all day basically and try to put out videos as often as I can, and I do get tons of help. You were sending me information like crazy. I have people, from all over the world sending me information, people that are, all right, New Zealand, people sending me stuff from New Zealand. And it's literally a worldwide effort because they're seeing what's going on here and they want to see that, go around the world and clean up their neck of the woods as well. But it's so great to see the amount of support that we receive and people that are just willing to help. Really, I'm like blown away by that, really.
No, I am too. I'm humbled by it on a daily basis. Well, here, let's move on to the next story because it is about Jeffrey Epstein. The pilots from his plane were just subpoenaed. Spaceshot, this is just incredible news right here because these pilots are going to be able to verify the stories of the victims in these cases. And they're going to be able to pinpoint and place these famous people that are associated with Epstein and his trafficking ring. And it's going to bring down a lot more people because I'm sure that, Epstein's only going to be willing to say so much. I think he's probably pretty afraid, especially after that attempt on his life the other day.
Oh, yes. I got a few questions. How about, you bring these people in? Because everybody's saying, these flight logs are fake, they're fake, they're hoaxed. But people have to remember those flight logs aren't, Jeffrey Epstein's writing or Ghislaine Maxwell. They should be the pilots, right? Or the co-pilot. So, all right. Hey, sir, did you write this list right here? All right. So you wrote Bill Clinton on that day right there and Chris Tucker and Kevin Spacey because they were all three on the same flight at one time. Yeah. So you remember that day when these people were here? Were there any young women on the plane with you that day? Yeah, this is going to open them up to some big problems. And, they need to be put on 24/7 surveillance, like military trusted people to, block these people because, the Arkansas thing is going to go through the roof even more so than it has. I mean, how many more people can, get hung by a red scarf in the last 2 years? It's been like out of control, So they need to protect these people. And it's going to be all sorts of bad if they start talking.
Oh, yeah, definitely. You know, I think that these pilots might be looking at some criminal charges themselves, just based upon the fact that it's possible they could have been witnessing some really awful things taking place. I need to say thank you to Slim one more time. He says, I will go broke subscribing and sharing. My Twitter was taken down in a day. One day. It's not right. Support these patriots while I run out of money. Methods, shot... I think that's Spaceshot, Stroppy, on and on. They taken 30%. F them. This is too important. Well, thanks again, Slim. I do appreciate that, buddy. It means a lot. Looks like, Roy Davis is in the audience. He says, Tippy Top Mods, thank you guys for your hard work. Where we go one, we go all. Good to see you here, Roy. Roy is always here, man. It's always good to see him. Well, so let's hear in the article, federal prosecutors in Manhattan have subpoenaed Jeffrey Epstein's longtime personal pilots, according to people familiar with the matter, as investigators seek to question the financier's employees in the wake of his indictment on trafficking charges. The grand jury subpoenas were served on the pilots earlier this month after Epstein's arrest on July 6th. Some of the people said Mr. Epstein was arrested at Teterboro Airport in New Jersey after he had returned from Paris on a private jet. Now, a lawyer for one of the pilots confirmed the subpoenas but declined to provide any further details, and it couldn't be determined what information the subpoenas thought. I think that we already know exactly what they're going to be asking. And we don't know how many. We don't know how many pilots there were. I would imagine he had a stable, if you want to put it that way. But you know, they're saying here that this testimony from the pilots could be used by federal investigators in their efforts to corroborate accounts from the accusers. They can also provide details on Mr. Epstein's travels and his associates, like you casually mentioned, Bill Clinton, Chris Tucker, Kevin Spacey. Now, do you know what I just I didn't realize until just recently, but Kevin Spacey had been publicly accused by a woman of abusing men, and she was conveniently run over by a car. Did you know that?
Oh, no, I didn't hear about that. I did hear, though, that his case was dropped, though. The one in, I believe it's the one in Massachusetts, right? So it's kind of weird, right, out of left field.
Yeah, I couldn't believe that either. But, I mean, I guess at this point, I don't know why anything surprises me. You know, we got to be really on the ball. Let's see. Let's see. Somebody's saying to turn up Spaceshot's volume. You guys, Spaceshot, can you give me a mic check so I can check out your levels? I think you're on mute again, buddy.
No, I'm not. Mic check 1 2 1 2. You caught me. Mic check 1 2 1 2.
All right, guys.
Out there, guys. 5x5.
Yeah, give us a 5x5 if Spaceshot sounds better, you guys. All right, so looking forward to seeing exactly what comes out of this. I can only imagine that these pilots are going to have some really, really damning information. Let's see. Bruce Popkin said, Omar Qatar collusion on Twitter, Imam of Peace. Yeah, actually, I did see that earlier. We might get to that if we have time here in a minute. Brian Laurie says, thank you for all you do. Thank you both for those super chats. And then Jen Cree said, oh my God, did you see what is happening with Ilhan Omar and the Imam of Peace, Imam Tawhidi? Omar, Talib, and Sarsour are working with Qatar. You need to watch John Ward's latest video on YouTube. Okay, Patriot Lady Biker says your sound is still low. I'm going to turn him up just a little bit more, you guys. I didn't want to put him into... Oh, it says we're both crackling. I don't know why it's crackling. Maybe, yeah, I don't know.
Maybe YouTube's playing some games.
Yeah, I think so. I think YouTube must be playing games. All right, so let's see here. Any news on Epstein that you found out recently? Anything you wanted to share?
No, I was just going through the Q drops and whatnot, but I found it interesting that, you know, in the article they were talking about he had possibly been attacked and then possibly a suicide attempt. And you know, me, Red Pill, I don't ever say, oh, I have a source that said this, or I know a top guy, inside guy. But there's a person that I know. That's all I'm going to say is that I trust this person very much so. And they have a cousin that works in that facility that says he was attacked by another inmate. And then after they were separated, he attempted the suicide. But I guess the feeling there was that, you know, they think it was like a staged suicide thing, maybe something to, you know, maybe get him some bail or something like that. And, you know, they all seem to think that, you know, they don't think he would actually do it. They don't think he has the grapes to do it. But I mean, hey, he might be looking at never getting out of jail again. I saw an interesting piece with Kennedy from Fox. She was on Fox News last night, and she had another attorney on there, and he was talking about the conviction rate of federal crimes. And he said it's like 97% of the people plead guilty. And then what happens is the conviction rate is almost 100% because they always have their ducks in a row. And unlike state and local, who kind of like to roll the dice a little bit, they always, you'll have to go through a grand jury, most times, and they always make sure they have their ducks in a row. But he said that the conviction rate is damn near 100%. So he doesn't foresee Epstein ever seeing the light of day again, which I'm loving that.
No, I'd have to agree. I don't think that he's ever going to get out. I don't think that he's safe in prison either. I think that he's going to have to stay in solitary confinement for the rest of his life. And I really, really think that it was a hit job. I do not believe that he would try to kill himself, especially with the fact that he was trying to get out. I just don't see it happening. Well, I do have the thread pulled up here from Imam Mohammed Tawhidi. Says this thread will be one of the most important threads I make on Twitter. The illegal case behind this will be exposed with full transparency and full details. For now, I direct the following information to real Donald Trump, Vice President Jared Kushner, Donald Trump Jr., Sean Hannity. I have sources for what I will say, and they are rock solid, authentic. Many officials will criticize me for making this public, but I have a duty to do so. The public needs to know. I understand the potential consequences of this thread, and I accept them. I am willing to go to the fullest extent with this matter, even if I am required to testify in Congress. This is the beginning of the uncovering of what could be a giant scandal. The sensitive details of this matter will be shared in private upon request. A congresswoman is communicating indirectly through an individual with Qatar. The people she was talking to are a group close to Emir Tamim bin Hamad, and they involve some of their names and company. This congresswoman has confirmed to the above group of Qataris that the recent investigations into her case will not end well for her. They also fear that she's in trouble. Now they are coming after several people. I am one of those people, and their plan is as follows. This congresswoman told the group of Qatari officials who have invested in her that Speaker Pelosi is happy that she is being investigated because recently they had rebelled against her. Also, she hates the pressure coming onto the party because of her. The plan of this congresswoman is to make all of this go away and strike a deal with Speaker Pelosi to put her cases aside. If she puts the case of this congresswoman aside and ignores it, this is Qatar's goal in D.C. with regards to this congresswoman. This congresswoman, along with a Palestinian female activist from Brooklyn, New York, agreed on diverting the attention by planning to seek the assistance of The Intercept, Al Jazeera, and the Middle Easy Eye to fabricate the following scandal. They want to claim that all of those criticizing this particular congresswoman are paid by Saudis in the UAE, and that it is a collusion against the congresswoman. They are planning on separating me and Adel Naz in one case and Donald Trump Jr. and the UAE in another. The reason they chose Adel Naz, out of all people who criticize this congresswoman, it is because of her work pics with Vice President Mike Pence and to show them in the fabricated articles. Their basis for this would be Qatari officials said so, when it is all false information. The congresswoman in question tried to get me to say that I am being funded by the UAE and Saudi Arabia to smear me, and to then turn it into an international issue. I have the full text from her middle person sent here through a leak, and she knows this is not the first leak. Dear Imam Tawhidi, I'm going to get this bigger. This is an email from office. No, it doesn't show the email it's coming from. I am blank and wanted to share with you important information that I was made aware of. Redacted has forwarded a secret request to the Qatari government via a redaction businessman seeking their help to fabricate information that would discredit your reputation using Qatari-controlled and funded media outlets in the U.S. and U.K. The secret request was delivered during a private meeting in Manhattan between the blank businessman and Qatari Sheikh blank, and then it has another name, email. The Qatari government has accepted this request and promised to implement it very soon. Given the sensitive nature of my position, they asked to remain anonymous. Okay, so let me close that and finish the thread. They want to accuse Saudi Arabia and the UAE of operating in D.C. to smear her and accuse me, Donald Trump Jr., and others who have come after her, such as Tom Fitton, of being part of an international Operation Collusion in America. Tom Fitton. And as for the Palestinian female activist from Brooklyn, I recently reached out to her for a reason. I can confirm that she immediately showed my message to Qatar, and she is in on this too, and she will be running for Congress, and they want to protect her too. As for the wider plot by those individuals, it is to try and turn Jared Kushner against Donald Trump Jr., and I can also confirm with my sources that Qatar did in fact give information to Mueller and helped him out, unlike what they said here. Qatar, no contact with Mueller's team over Jared Kushner. When the first leak came to me, I forwarded it to a Qatari diplomat in D.C. to show him that I am onto him and the congresswoman and the Manhattan businessman and the mentioned group of Qataris. Now, before we go on, Qatar, wasn't there an ambassador to Qatar who was in the news maybe a year ago for hosting parties at the Qatari embassy? I believe that this was covered on George Webb's channel. Maybe it was 2017, but there was a Qatar. I'm pretty sure that's what it was. I do
remember hearing about that.
Yeah.
Something about Qatar.
Yeah. All right. So more has been happening behind the scenes, and other people are also involved, and I know them one by one. I have made initial contact to pass on all details and materials to the concerned governments and their intelligence agencies through a lawyer. This is the first part of this thread. If the Qataris and this congresswoman go ahead with this plan, either by the aforementioned news agencies or others funded... oh, shoot. I accidentally clicked on that. I will release more information. Qataris don't want investigated. Jamal Khashoggi. Oh my gosh, this is getting good. As for the full case, I am documenting it, and I want to expose it all at the very end. You cannot frame me, you fool. You'd be framing yourself. No need to trap Mrs. Mole. She will fall into it by herself. You can't help it, can you? Keep digging. Can't wait for you to see me testify in Congress. End of part 1 of this thread. For transparency, I say that I have made personal decisions at the moment that concern me alone and nobody else. I will make these matters public in the near future. When I do, I will quote retweet this tweet for context. Never fear tyrant governments. Fool and expose them instead. Holy jeez, this is clearly... Wow.
Now, who is
dude.
That made the tweet.
This is the Imam of Peace. I'm going to be tweeting it out right now. I just retweeted it, and I'm like, it's been... retweeted 22.2 thousand times and liked 28,000 times. Wow.
Now, what was the beginning? It was talking about the country that funds her.
Yeah, that's Qatar. It's saying that it's Qatar. Yeah.
Man.
You guys.
Sickening.
Just for everybody in the chat, I'm going to be putting this into the chat so you can go ahead and check out that tweet yourself and go ahead and share it widely. I'm going to follow him now, and I'm going to put on notifications for the Imam of Peace. That is great. Oh my gosh.
So he's doing it basically on like an anonymous person. That's what he's going by, that name, but obviously he's probably from that area.
Okay. Oh, hey, you know what? Would you mind if I bring Thomas into this conversation? Because there was an article that I wanted to cover next that was about him. But yeah, he's doing
more
it.
The merrier, man.
Yeah, he's doing it not as an anonymous person, but as a. He's saying it's him, but it's definitely Ilhan Omar that he's talking about. Let's see. If somebody says they want to contact me, you guys can always look in the description of the videos below. My email is in there. It's redpill78@protonmail.com. Let's go ahead and bring Thomas into the conversation. True reporting. There we go. Add. All right, calling True Reporting.
Yeah, she's got a lot of questions. A lot of questions with this bird.
All right. Thomas, are you there?
Hey, what's up, man?
Hey, thank you so much for taking the call. Thomas, we are live on the air right now with Spaceshot76 and a room full of 2,523 of our closest friends. Please say hello.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Space Shot, good to have you aboard, and it's good to be a part of this get-together.
What's up, brother? Good to hear you, man.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. So, like I said, thank you for staying up. Thank you for taking the call. Thomas, I wanted to bring you in on this article specifically because it's written about you. Everybody can see on the screen right now, we've got an article from the Huffington Post where they are bemoaning the fact that they are failing miserably to rein in what they call conspiracy theory content. YouTube's plan to rein in conspiracy theories is failing. Wow. Thomas, this is just incredible because it involves you. There's also, they talk about Just Informed Talk a little bit. They also talk about Gary Franchi from True Reporting. Then they talk
Next News Network.
Yep. Oh, I'm sorry. From Next News Network. Sorry, buddy.
There you go. You're good.
And, and they talk about a couple of smaller channels as well. But, basically the idea is that, they're talking about how they changed the algorithm. They very openly say that they wanted to, squeeze out channels that talked about what they're calling conspiracy content. After reading this article, after seeing this, what's been the reception that you've gotten? Has it caused any issues? Have you gotten anyone contacting you to talk about further interviews, anything like that?
Okay, yeah, so I've had about, I'd probably say 24 hours to think this over. At first, I would say that it was kind of flattering. Like, I was like, this is really cool. This is exposure. It's very cool when you see your name in something like that. That's a huge, from our point of view, that's a huge fake news source that a lot of people see, And as the day went on, it became quite unnerving, to say the least. I've been kind of, I've uploaded a couple of videos today, and I've just kind of kept close watch on my YouTube channel just because I know what they're capable of. The beginning, I'd probably say maybe 3 months ago, actually it was more about 5 months ago, my entire channel got demonetized.
Right.
I just went on one day, and every 400 videos of mine were completely demonetized. They weren't even allowed to make any kind of income. So it is, I know what they're capable of doing. Can they do it again? Absolutely. They could happen to any of us, to be honest.
Right.
But we're here standing strong, and and another thing, I think that the article does demonstrate that, hey, they don't know what to do. The channel, the numbers are growing. I think I saw Jordan Sather put out a tweet today saying that over 30% of Americans, it might even have been worldwide, believe in Q.
Right.
And some people thought that, hey, I think it's more than that, or they kind of, didn't really give it a lot of credit. 30%. That's a ton of people, man. That's a lot of people.
That's a huge number of people. If that's worldwide, then we're talking, billions of people.
Yeah. All I know is that at first it was flattering. Secondly, it became very unnerving. I'm pretty much kind of watching it now. I'm more relaxed about it.
Yeah.
I know Just Informed Talk definitely got hit like I got hit. I sent him a tweet today. I said, I really hope things work out for you. And that just keep contacting YouTube. Get to the bottom of this, and hopefully they'll work with you. We will see. We shall see.
Right. Well, what really got me worked up when I first saw this is, first of all, it's a good thing that they realize that they're losing this information war. But what scared me was, I thought immediately about Carlos Maza. And when he wrote that hit piece and went after Steven Crowder, and they demonetized Steven Crowder's channel the next day. Now, when we spoke about this last night, I told you that they had taken away Just Informed Talk's monetization. I didn't realize that this article had been written. I had only heard that he had been, hit by YouTube.
Yes.
So it's a very scary thing. We're out there putting our necks on the line. So I know that we all realize that this is something that can happen, and it's happened to each one of us in some capacity. But
oh yeah,
I think that another thing about it though is that we're all very careful with the way that we talk about this stuff. You
have to be.
Yeah. I mean, there's a way to get the message out. without completely skirting or going over the lines that YouTube has kind of set up for us arbitrarily. And they, and they don't enforce it for, for everyone equally. But, I mean, I get a lot of flack from people, it's not, I'm not going to say a lot. I get flack from some people for trying to go around those barriers that we have set up for us. But,
Yes.
But I mean, what's most important to me is being able to have the platform and come to people and bring them this information. I mean, I'm not going to change the way that I do things because somebody wants me to say a particular word or somebody wants me to present information in the way that they want me to present it. You can start your own YouTube channel. That's the beauty of it.
Absolutely.
I mean, I've gotten here to this point because I've been able to bring information to people in a manner in which is digestible and you can spread it. I mean, I want a family friendly show. It's unfortunate that we are dealing with such heavy subjects, but there's a way to do it, and I think that we all do that, in a really good way. So, much props to both you and Spaceshot and Thomas. I'm going to say it both. But,
yeah, Red Pill. I just want to touch on that really quickly. I experienced the exact same thing. I saw Justin Form's video as well, and I want to say like last August or so, same exact thing happened to me. Once I got up to about 60,000 subscribers, they were hit me, I don't know, every few videos would be like, is not suitable for all audiences. Then around the time I mentioned, I woke up the next day and I go down and look, and every single one of my videos, even the ones that have been appealed already in my favor, saying somebody looked at them and said they were okay, they were all cut over to not suitable for all audiences overnight. And, what I found most disgusting is, I think in that article it says, Thomas, by the way, can I have a loan? Because it's saying you're making like $80,000 a year. Like,
oh, yeah.
And I want everybody out there to know that is beyond ridiculous. That would be if his channel was completely monetized, if he had like 8 commercials on every video. And if he's getting no commercials, or if he's even getting he's obviously getting what we're getting, the not suitable for all audiences. What they're doing is they go to a place, that Social Blade website, and it says, oh, this person's making between this much and that much. And that's exactly what it said. As soon as I saw that report, I went to Social Blade and I put Thomas's thing in, and it said, oh, he could be making from $3,000 a year to $75,000. So what did they put in that article? This guy's out there talking crap about Hillary Clinton, and he's making $75,000 a year. Yeah, okay. In a perfect world, maybe, right?
Right.
So it's just beyond ridiculous. And you're right. We have to kind of do it, and we are a family, show here. And I know a lot of people listen, even with their whole family and children. So it's a lot of times I'll tell them, like, guys, earmuffs, kids away from the radio for the next 2 minutes.
I would like to say something real quick, and I think it's very important. I know I don't want to hog y'all's interview. I really don't. But there's a problem that people talk about when I mention, hey, I always say in every video, do you see YouTube ads? I just want to know. And people say, they throw out the word Patriots, P-A-Y. Mm-hmm. And Red Pill, you mentioned earlier, like, I want to get the truth out there. This is what I want to do. I need to get the truth out there. More importantly, you want to put food in your stomach too. You want to take care of your kids. You want to take care of your girlfriend. You want to take care of your family, man. And to be called a patriot by some of these people, some of them aren't shills. But as soon as I ask, hey, you could donate to the super chat, or you can just let me know if there's YouTube ads, or I have merch, I get hit with this. So not only are we walking a fine line with censorship, we're also walking an extremely fine line of people saying, what are you doing this for, right? I do this for absolutely to get the truth out, but I have to do this too to pay my rent, to pay my car insurance, to put food in my stomach. I have a 7-year-old. We're walking 2 very thin lines. People don't know the stress that we get under, man.
Oh yeah.
But for all of us, everybody, I think there's like at least 25 channels that are covering this daily, and people don't understand the stress. They really don't. Red Pill, we talk about this a lot, man.
Yep.
How this is a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week gig.
Yeah.
It really is.
It is
It's tough.
You know, I mean, it's always funny to me when, when people say something like that, but yet at the same time, they want to watch quality programming. They want to watch an alternative to network television, and the only way to do that is with high production values and to put a lot of time and effort into this. I mean, like, this is, I mean, what really angers me about it is that, none of my videos are monetized, you guys. I mean, it's been a long time since YouTube has approved any of my videos. But people will tell me all the time that they actually are watching commercials on my videos that YouTube is putting in there because they know that people are watching my videos, but they're not monetized. So it's very frustrating to watch this happen. Because I do put so many hours of blood, sweat, and tears into this. It's a labor of love. I'm not going to lie. I am very blessed to be here and to be able to hang out with everybody. And I've gained, some of the best friends in my entire life, you guys. I love both of you, and we are a family. We are a family as far as I'm concerned.
I've met some of the best people out here.
I couldn't agree more with that.
Yeah. Well,
I couldn't agree with that more, dude.
Real quick, you guys, speaking of those super chats, I need to say thank you to a couple of people. Slim1776, again, man, thank you so much, brother. Spread it. Show some love, he says. Thank you so much. White Hat says, keep your chin up, fellas. Antitrust and Internet Bill of Rights will eventually get here. Keep fighting. It's making its rounds all over the world. That's right. It is. It is making its rounds, and I think it's going to get here eventually. My only hope is that we can outlive it until it gets here. Lorraine B says, love you both. I'm sure you meant all three of us, or maybe that was before Thomas was on the line. Marine Mom here. The Marines arrested will be dealt with. Their remaining time will be like no hell you could ever imagine by their peers with a dishonorable discharge. Zero excuse reason for this conduct. Absolutely agree. Joanne Fink, thank you very much for that super chat. And Joanne, you wrote 20. I don't know if you meant to donate 20, but if you did and you're on mobile, there's a slider and you slide it over to the right until it's whatever you want it to be. Then Jersey Linda says, so love you. Thank you, Linda. I appreciate that as well. And then Mirka says, nothing wrong with making a living. It's called capitalism. That's right.
Hey, I like that.
Yes, this is America, you guys, and we have to make money to live. If all of us were doing, free work, then we would be living in the socialist hell that the squad wants us to live in.
Hey, yeah, and guys, how about this one too? My videos, I would say, usually the shortest videos I put out is about 20 minutes. Sometimes they're 40 or 50 minutes, and you have people complaining about a 30-second video, 30-second commercial video. So it's like, all right, if you want to go watch Fox, you're going to get hit with a 2.5-minute commercial every friggin' 5 minutes. And furthermore, that whole Patriot thing was made by people that are trying to divide our movement. Because
100%, I agree with that.
It's so clear because they were talking about Alex Jones and Jerome Corsi, who are now kind of trying to weasel their way back in. Alex Jones, I think I was wrong about Q. And there was a couple different Qs along the line, but the real Q's back. No. There's always only been one Q, and that's it. But they were saying Patriot, and somebody said something along the lines of, it was an anon that said, I wouldn't say people couldn't make money covering Q, but it's when they try to subvert the movement is when it becomes an issue. And Q had highlighted that post, which means, hey, everybody, read this. So clearly they were talking about Corsi and Alex Jones, but somehow these people that are trying to divide our movement, which is obviously the bad guys, they don't want to see unity at all. So, a 40-minute video, 30-second commercial, please.
I agree. Now, a comment from Charles. He says, Patriot is like saying conspiracy theory or calling a healer a quack. It's okay to be a capitalist entrepreneur. Thank you so much, Charles. I agree. And then also, Richard Hansen gave a super chat and just said 17. He wanted to give $17, but he gave 20. Thank you very, very much. I appreciate that. All right. Well, listen, Thomas, I don't want to keep any longer, buddy. I know that you were staying up to talk with us. Do you want to leave us with anything before you say goodnight?
Yes, I would like to say that you can follow me on Twitter. Please follow me. We hit a big number. We just about hit 14,000. And you can follow me at True Reporting. Follow me on YouTube, True Reporting. There's merch out there. This is how I make a living. This is how I, pay my rent, so on and so forth. And don't let people discourage you. Spaceshot said it the best. I believe he mentioned a lot about unity. Don't let people divide you. Use your own discernment. Use your own logic, and just be loving to each other, man. Enough with just be an adult about this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's what I guess. My 2 cents.
Exactly.
Now, somebody actually said, I watch the commercials, but I'm not going to if he doesn't get paid. Here's the thing. There are some older videos that are still monetized, or sometimes YouTube will go back and they will monetize a video later on, like they'll have like second thoughts about it. But what all you need to do, you don't have to watch an entire commercial, you guys. All you need to do is watch what they consider to be a significant portion of the commercial. So that would go beyond the point at which they tell you that you can skip it.
Correct.
Let's say, so if it's a minute video or a minute commercial and you watch the first like 20 seconds of it, then they still count that as watching it. So here's the thing. The YouTube has two different levels. They have what they consider something that could not be monetized for all advertisers. Which means that they might still play smaller advertisers on there. Okay, so we do get credit for those, but then
Yes.
but when a video is fully monetized, which is going to be something like Fox News, ABC News, that's when that's when you see those the actual full monetization. But and that's the mainstream media. They always do that. So what they've done is they have allowed people like us to make a much smaller portion of the revenue. Here's the thing is that people want to advertise on YouTube. I know that people want to advertise on shows like ours here. Please, you don't have to watch the whole commercial, but if there is a commercial, then, go ahead and watch just a short amount of it. And if you don't watch the commercial, then that's okay too. I just want to make sure everybody knows how it works. I do need to say a couple of couple thank yous. Let's see. Eddie Mitchell, thank you for that super chat. Jen Fair, thank you very much. She says, God bless President Trump. Northwest Sunshine Patriot says, Red Pill has blessed our family, sending much love. Spaceshot and Thomas are awesome patriots. Thank you very much for that generous donation.
Thank you.
Bullwinkle says, mainstream media shills get paid
Thanks.
Millions. Haters can watch them if they wish. That's a great point. Thank you. And then Tectra TA says, you three are real American patriots. God bless you all. Please pray for GVE and POTUS and the beautiful planet we call Earth. Thank you so much. I do appreciate that, guys. I appreciate all the love. I wasn't even planning on talking about this tonight, but I'm glad that we did because it's something that's important. I love supporting people in this movement. I've often said what we need is some kind of, like an Angie's List for conservative patriots, people who are business owners, people who are entrepreneurs in our movement, who we can refer each other to. So if we got any web designers out there, I used to be a web designer, so this is something that I wanted to do previously, but if anybody is out there that can help us with this, I think it's a great idea because I know that there are so many people out there who provide services in their communities, and maybe you're like me. Maybe you had a business and you lost it because you came out as a conservative. I think that's why it's even more important for us to be able to have a resource to connect with each other and to help each other. What do you guys think about that?
Go ahead, Space Shot. Yeah, go.
I'll really quickly. I agree with that, and it's funny you mentioned that. Dustin Nemos has actually reached out to me, and he's actually doing that. He's putting a bunch of conservative business owners, companies together, and you're gonna love that. I love the name of what he's gonna do. He said he wants to take down Amazon, and he wants to make this company where everybody can buy, anything you're ever gonna need, but purchased only from conservatives, and he wants to call it Magazon. You gotta love that.
That is a pretty good idea.
I'd love to see that come to fruition. And just really quickly touching on that last thing. My favorite one is when they demonetize your video and say that, it's no good. And then, when you use a clip of somebody's video. So a 40-minute video, I might use a clip of, say, BBC or something like that. And they completely demonetize your channel and they say it's not suitable for all audiences. But guess what? They throw commercials on it because it defaults back to the person in which you use their 10-second clip.
Yes.
They completely demonetize your video. So you make absolutely nothing on it, and then BBC gets the revenue for that video, even if it's a 40-minute video and you use 10 seconds of it. So crazy.
That's happened to me more than a few times. And I just want to mention, all three of us have our own merchandise shops. I know that in my videos, the link to my T-shirt shop, there's also all kinds of stuff there. That'll always be in the description. I know that Space Shot and Thomas at True Reporting, they all have the exact same things. So you can go ahead.
Shout out to Bree.
Yeah,
Shout out to Bree.
Bree is an amazing graphic designer and artist, you guys, and she is now available for other patriots, people who have their own businesses that they want to go ahead and promote and make their own merchandise for. So by all means, you can reach out to her at any time. I know that she is somebody who does excellent work. I can vouch for that.
Yes, I concur.
Yeah, all of my videos that you see, all of those awesome graphics, those are all made by Bree, and she does a super, super job. And I'll tell you what, she's always ahead of the schedule too, always on point, and really great designs.
Can I ask something real quick? Did you have was Methods on tonight?
Yeah, Methods no? Methods is on tomorrow.
Okay, perfect. Okay, nice. We're like having a regular conversation. I'm sorry.
It's no problem. It's no problem. Yeah. All right. Well, listen. We have a couple more super chats real quick. Joanne Fink said, "I got it. Thanks for all you do." CWP24 from Twitch said, "I've heard that YouTube will put ads on the videos and they get the revenue from the videos, but the creator doesn't, which is messed up. These tech giants deserve the probe that they are in right now." That's right. That is something that they do, but I mean, the thing is, you never know when that is the case. I mean, sometimes they may be giving us the credit for it, and then other times they may not. So, I mean, I just make a habit. If I see commercials on a channel that I like, I'll go ahead and watch the commercials. I mean, I just feel like it's the right thing to do because I know that,
yes.
I mean, that's just me, but I'm not gonna tell anybody else that they have to do that. I mean, whatever is in your heart, you guys. All right. Well, listen, Thomas, I'm gonna say you go ahead and get off the phone, bud, because we've got just a couple more stories I want to touch on real quickly. But thanks for answering the phone, dude. I appreciate it.
Not a problem, gentlemen, and everyone out there. I hope you have a wonderful weekend.
All right, brother. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, guys. Bye-bye.
Peace. Bye-bye.
Good talking to you, man.
You too.
Yeah, Thomas is great. So, you guys can check out this story. I'm actually going to drop this in the chat box so that you guys can check it out because, it really highlights the terror that these people are feeling. This is the kind of thing that they're doing. They grasp at straws. They want to destroy people. They want to destroy people like us because we are successful in our field and we are effective. Okay, so this is great. Did you hear about this, Space Shot? They found the White House visitor logs from the early 1990s, and guess who was on them when Bill Clinton was in the White House? Jeffrey Epstein.
No. Oh, no.
Totally.
I don't know him.
Totally contradicting Bill Clinton's claims. So he visited the White House.
And how?
Go ahead.
I was going to say, how timely was that? He got arrested on Saturday night, right? Coming back into Teterboro Airport. Yep. And Bill Clinton had a friggin' prepared statement on Monday.
Oh, yeah.
You knew that was coming. Get ahead of the curve, buddy. But now we know you're lying. Well, we already knew you were lying, but now we have it confirmed.
Yep, exactly. I'm sure that he had it prepared months in advance because he must have known that this was going to happen. So let's see here. Let's see how many times. So he said that initially they had encounters in 2002 and 2003 and that his Secret Service agents were with him. But this is actually reporting from the Daily Beast. They found out that he has had ties for far longer. As early as 1993, Epstein donated $10,000 to the White House Historical Association and attended a donors reception hosted by Bill and Hillary. And around the same time, according to a source familiar with the connection, Epstein visited presidential aide Mark Middleton several times at the White House. 2 years later, businesswoman Lynn Forrester de Rothschild wrote a personal letter to Clinton thanking him for their talk about the financier. And in late September of 93, Bill and Hillary hosted a reception for supporters who had contributed to the recent White House renovations. Of course, Jeffrey Epstein was among the people who were invited to the White House.
Nope, I don't know. I don't know the guy. I never met him. Sorry.
Oh, that is great.
Yeah. Okay, pal.
Vigilant Blade, thanks for that super chat. And then Newly Enlightened says, we need magnetized Q signs for our cars, Bree. Bree, I think that's a great idea. I would love that. Now, let's see. The Nick Sandman lawsuit was tossed out by a federal judge. Did you hear about this?
Are you serious?
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
It was from a Jimmy Carter appointee. Dismissed the Covington Catholic School Nick Sandman's lawsuit against the Washington Post. Oh, let's see. He heard oral arguments earlier this month. He issued the ruling on Friday. Nick, what were the reasons? From our first story of this incident to our last, we sought to report fairly and accurately the facts that could be established. Now, this is from the Washington Post. Let's see. I want to see the reason why. Says that filed in the U.S. District Court. No, that is from the lawsuit. It doesn't say why. It doesn't say why. I mean,
it was clear, dude, that he was getting slandered big time. They were calling him a racist. I mean, how much more clear can it get? All you need to do is, DVR that crap. He was all over the news.
Yeah, no, I think that this is a really, really unfair decision. I'm hoping that there's something they can do. Gosh. Nick Sammon, I mean, he's going to live the rest of his life with the impact of this event taking place. I mean, he was clearly pilloried in the press. This was the thing, though. This is only against the Washington Post. The Washington Post was not the only outlet that smeared him. So maybe there is some hope, and I'm sure that they can appeal this ruling.
Oh, they need to. And I actually thought in the beginning, like when I first saw that story, I saw that look, and everybody was calling him like, look at the smug look, the way he's looking at that guy, Mm-hmm. And after you see the interview the next day when he's being interviewed, I forgot the lady that did it, but
yep,
you can tell that look was not a look of smugness. It was a look of just cringe. He was cringe. He had this guy banging a thing in his face. He was kind of trying to smile, and then he was kind of nervous. So it was not a smug thing. But yeah, man, they libeled the crap out of that kid. They slandered the crap out of him for sure.
Now, someone in the chat just said that the Post did not use his name, and that's why it was thrown out against the Post. Now, if that's the reason, the First Amendment was why it was tossed. Texas Girl USA said it was the First Amendment. Well, I think that there's a lot of other people that definitely had Nick Sandmann's name in their mouths and said some terrible things. I mean, I don't know. I guess, man, I'm just kind of at a loss because the First Amendment's one thing, but slander and libel is another. It does say the First Amendment, Vigilant Blade. Okay, I'm sorry, guys. I was trying to skim it to get to the good parts. Well, and anyways, guys, we are at the midnight hour. It is, it's time for the show to end. Don't miss the show tomorrow. We're going to have Methods on the program. Methods, thank you so much, buddy. I cannot wait to see you here tomorrow. This is going to be a great interview. And then after that, we're going to have the return of Jason Was a Gentile for his normal monthly appearance. I think he might have a song that he's going to be dropping. We'll see. Spaceshot, thank you for being here, my friend. Is there anything that you want to leave us with?
Oh, no, I appreciate you having me on, brother. Anytime, I'm only a phone call away, and I'm usually available on your show times. The later, the better, of course. And I can't wait to hear Mr. Methods as well. And I'm coming at you, Mr. Method. You're going to come on my show one of these days.
I'm sure he will. I'm sure we will. And then I also want to ask specifically for prayers for my friend Juliet's thoughts, as well as prayers for my friend Terry, and specifically as well, Patriot Lady Biker. All right, you guys, I want to thank everyone for joining us. We do have a couple more thank yous before we go. Gregory Klagenberg, thanks for all you do, Red Pill and Spaceshot76 and Seavine News. All three of us do appreciate that. And then CPW24 from Twitch. I think the judge is part of the deep state. I think that you're probably right there. All right, as always, this has been Red Pill 78. I am the Corruption Detector with Spaceshot76. Good luck, everyone, and God bless.